Welcome, welcome. Hello, how are you guys doing today? Hope all is going well for you. Today has been a long day so far. Hope everyone is doing well. Hope you guys can hear me clearly. This is our episode number 4 of Moving On After a Breakup. Today we have Connie coming to the panel. She's here to share her story of why and how she managed to leave a toxic relationship and move on to live a beautiful life. I'm going to bring Connie to the panel. Welcome, Connie. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am doing well. I am doing well. So, you're here to share your story with us.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. Thank
Okay.
you for having me.
Oh, thank you for coming. You are so welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm going to start off by asking you a few questions that I always ask, and that is, how long were you in your relationship?
Well, actually, I was in two abusive relationships.
Oh,
Uh,
you didn't have two, too, huh?
yes, like last
Okay.
night too.
Yes. That was
Yeah,
pretty interesting.
yeah. The first one was an ex-husband of mine. I was in that for 8 years,
Okay.
and then went on to the abusive relationship, which I was in for 4 years.
Okay. So, and we're going to talk about both of them, correct?
Yes,
Okay. So the relationship you was in for 8 years, was that like a young thing, like how I did 18, 22?
yes, yes. That was again my first marriage. I was young, and
Mm-hmm.
let's just say living with low self-esteem is very dangerous.
Yes, that's true.
Yes.
So what were some of the red flags that you noticed in the relationship that made you say, you know what, something ain't right?
Well, actually, Amora, you're gonna think this is crazy, but I noticed a red flag on our wedding night.
Oh
um
my goodness.
yes, for our honeymoon we actually went to his brother's birthday party. And
The honeymoon?
yeah, that was one of the red flags.
Yeah.
And of course, he started drinking a lot. He was a drinker, but he did not show me that he was a heavy drinker during our relationship. He showed it, on that night.
Hmm.
And on the way home, like I say, he was heavily intoxicated and very angry. He was an angry drunk, really.
Okay.
And we got into an argument about something. I think he said that I was looking at his brother or something, and
Oh my God.
actually tried to push me out of the moving car.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Again,
Oh
let's stay
yeah, he
in
was
that.
really drunk.
Yeah, yeah. So again, let's stay in that grain of low self-esteem is very dangerous, because I was, instead of getting out of it then, I would have rather be with an abusive man than to be alone. You
Okay.
know?
I've heard that
Yeah,
before.
yeah, yeah. So the abuse went on, like basically every weekend, when he would drink. And yeah, it went on for years. And
And
I
was
took
it physical abuse and verbal or just
it,
verbal?
physical and verbal. Yeah, because
Wow.
at this time I had two young sons, and the quote that all the narcissists say is, you're lucky to be with me. You're not gonna find anyone else with two. You have two children. No one else is gonna want you. So
Hmm.
things like that. But it was also physical. Yeah, he actually moved me away from my family, which is another red flag. And again, the abuse continued there. And actually, we separated. We separated,
Hmm.
and we were still talking, still trying to work on our marriage. He was supposed to have been living with his aunt, and I was still in our, marital home.
Hmm.
And I called him one day, and a lady answered. And, I'm looking at the phone seeing if I dialed the wrong number. So I hang up and I dial the number again. She answers again. And I'm like,
Hmm.
who is this? And she was like, well, who is this? And I'm like, I'm his wife. She's like, I'm his girlfriend. stop calling my man. And she
Mhm.
proceeded to hang up on me. About an hour later, he called and told me that, yeah, he was with her. He's living with her. He don't want me anymore. On and on and on. So hung up the phone from there. Uh, Went into my bedroom, and he had had a previous surgery, and he had
Mhm.
medication left there. And
Mhm.
so I proceeded to pour all the pain medication on the bed. And as I was putting one up to my mouth, my youngest son just happened to call out to me and say, "Mommy, I'm hungry." And
Oh
that right
wow.
there snapped me, back into reality. And to this day, my youngest son doesn't know that he actually saved my life that day.
Yes.
Yeah, because I was going to take my life that day. So after that, he proceeded to, antagonize me some more. And he actually, during this time, my mom had passed. And
Mhm.
not knowing what his mistress looked like I said, we was trying to work things out before he decided to say he wanted a divorce. So he was at the funeral with me, and
Mhm.
me not knowing that his mistress was sitting in the back of the church at my mom's funeral.
Oh wow.
Yeah, yeah.
With him?
No, he was actually sitting with me and the family. She was sitting in the back of the church. Yeah. And I
Oh,
later on found out about that.
oh.
So, we continued to try to work on our marriage, but it didn't work out because he was still abusive and he still wanted to, be with her. So,
Mhm.
later on, during this time again, my father had passed away. And with me going to view my father's body, I came back to our marital home to find out that he had changed the locks and threw all of my kids' clothes, all of our clothes, and all of our belongings out onto the porch. So,
Now, were your two kids from him?
excuse me.
Were your two kids his kids?
No, 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 no.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, no, not at all. Thank God.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
so I gathered up all I could gather up and put in the car, and went to stay with my brother. And the next day, he found out where I was and actually came to my brother's house to try to take my car because the car was in both of our names. He tried to take
Mhm.
my car by taking some kind of plug out so I couldn't crank the car up. And with
Mhm.
him doing that, he accidentally hit his head on the trunk of the car and put a little gash in the back of his head.
Mhm.
And he actually went and took out a warrant on me and said that I abused him by putting that scar on his head.
Oh my goodness, what
Uh,
in the world?
yeah, yeah, yeah. So this was the weekend. So Friday, the police officer came. He said that he had to arrest me and all that. And I asked him, he was a guy that I went to school with. So I was like, could you please not, handcuff me in front of my children? So he just let me sit in the front seat and we went on and took me to jail. And on Monday was my court date. So I went into court and actually, he was actually sitting in court. And after letting me spend a weekend away from my children, he told the judge that he wanted to drop the charges.
Oh my God. So basically he did it spitefully and
Spiteful.
to basically show you that he can.
Mm-hmm.
That he has
Exactly.
some type of control over you.
Yeah, exactly.
Disgusting.
So I got out of jail, went to work that next morning, and here he comes again. But he wasn't alone this time, he was with his girlfriend.
Mm.
So they tried to take my car again. Of course, we got into a big fight in the parking lot, and he eventually left, and I had to go back into work because I was sitting in a car taking my lunch break.
Mhm.
So I had to go back to work, but at the end of the day, of course, they fired me for having a fight in a parking lot. So I called my sister, and my sister came to pick me up, and he had actually took my car this time. So we
Mhm.
went to where we thought he was. He was where we thought he was, and we didn't know where she lived at. So we had happened to stop at a Burger King, and these about two black guys came out and said, we was like, do you know, we named the girl's name. They was like, yeah, we actually getting ready to go over there now. I was like, what kind of luck we having? So we went followed them, and of course, my sister, being my sister, they had all kind of no trespassing signs up. So my sister, they had a like a driveway that goes around to the back of the house. So
Mhm.
me and my sister, she drove around to the back of the house to see if she could see my car, which it wasn't there. So on our way back to my brother's, we heard sirens in the back of us, blue lights, pulled us
Mhm.
over. Here we get a ticket for trespassing, having to go to court. So me and my sister
Mhm.
had to go to court for that. And what's funny is we went in the court with like matching, back in the day it was like matching pinstripe pantsuits and
Mhm.
a little briefcase with just our little summons in it.
Mhm.
And the bailiff thought we were lawyers, so they told us to sit to the side, and it was like, no, we're not lawyers, we're defendants.
Mhm.
So so she was there, and he started just started asking us some questions and stuff, and he caught her in some lies, so they dismissed the case and all of that. So we ended up after that, we it was some more stuff that went on, but we ended up getting a divorce finally. And like I said, I was staying at my brother's house, and I lost my job, so I had to get another car and find
Mhm.
me and my kids another place to stay. So this is where it gets in with the relationship for 4 years.
Okay.
My brothers knew this guy that was a drug dealer, and he had asked him, could he give me a down payment for a car, that I pay him back. So he
Mhm.
agreed, and he told me to go pick out a car. I went and looked at some cars and told him what the down payment was. He had brought the money to me, and it was like making a deal with the devil. Cause the first thing he said is, you're gonna be mine now. I'm giving you this. You're gonna be mine. I was like, okay, again, in the grain of that low self-esteem. So I was like,
Mhm.
okay, fine. So he was like, I want you to go and find your house, a 3 bedroom home for you and your boys, which I did in the same neighborhood as my brother. And
Mhm.
he, paid the rent because I was working part time as a waitress, so I wasn't
Mhm.
making that much money. So he paid the rent, paid all the bills, and not to mention that this drug dealer was married. So
Okay.
yeah,
And you
so
knew he was a drug dealer going into it, right?
yeah, I did.
Because you said he was a known drug dealer, right?
A very known drug dealer. Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Mhm.
And like I said, he paid all the bills for me, and then he had told me that he wanted us because we at this time was together for like 2 years. He said, "Well, let's get a bigger house. I got the boys are growing. Let's get a bigger house." So he surprised me with a bigger house,
Mhm.
and there is when all the abuse started. So he started beating me and choking me and urinating on me and putting my head in toilets and
Oh
making
my.
me, yeah, making me. I can remember one night that he came home from doing what he had to do, and
Mhm.
he was just angry about something. I don't know if somebody had messed with his money I don't know. But anyway, I was in bed. It was late. It was like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. He pulled me
Mhm.
out of bed. Like I said, that's when he urinated on me, and then
Mhm.
made me stand in the corner the rest of the night with a gun pointed at me the whole
Oh.
night, completely nude.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So
Mm.
yeah. But again, I stayed. I stayed because again, I, didn't want to be that, that lonely person. So I had a man, even though he was beating me and all this, I had a man. So he started cheating also. So he actually had a girl, and he had bought this girlfriend that he was dating a car. And
Mhm.
of course, she had a living boyfriend. I don't know what kind of arrangement they had, but he actually saw them on the highway, him and her boyfriend, and he pulled her over. I don't know why she would pull over with the boyfriend in the car, but she pulled over. He beat her to a pulp, and she took out a one on him. So
Did this happen in front of you, or you just heard
no,
about this?
I was at home.
Okay,
This
okay,
yeah, this is what he had told me and she had told me, and some
okay.
witnesses. And so she took out a warrant on him, and of course, before a court date, he paid her off, gave her $2,000 not to come to court. But
Mhm.
on court date, she still showed up. So here I am sitting beside him, and he's going over to his mistress, asking her, why you're here. I paid you off and all. She was like, well, I want some more money. I need more money. So he handed her two more $1,000 to leave, and
Mhm.
she left. And the judge came in. Since she didn't have any witnesses. She wasn't there. Of course, the charges were dropped. And instead of me being disgusted by that whole situation, what took place, I felt like a sense of, I don't know, a sense of empowerment. I'm with this man that he can make all of this happen. You know what I'm saying? And
Yes. Mhm.
so we went home, and I'm thinking we're gonna celebrate him, being free, but he's gonna actually go celebrate with her.
Oh my good. And he told you he was going to celebrate with her?
Yes. And after he had left her, he went somewhere else, and she came over to my house, and she was like, ha ha, stuff like that. I got your man. I got your man. You ain't nothing, and all this stuff. So, he
Wow.
found out that me and her got into it. He came home, beat me down because I was defending myself with her.
So now, so first of all, so when he told you he was going to celebrate with her, did you just say okay?
I just, at this time, Amora, I was just numb. I was just
Right.
just in a numb state of mind.
Mhm.
So I didn't really care, long as my kids were taken care of. They were well dressed. I mean, all the toys, all whatever you needed. I was, well dressed, had all the money that I wanted, you know, whatever car I wanted to drive. So at this point, I was just numb. I was just
Mhm.
numb to it. So
Wow.
so he would always start arguments with me, and just so another woman could come over to the house. So
Right.
when he would start an argument, um, me and my kids, we would pack a bag and we'd have to walk to like my brother's house because he's taking the keys, he's taking the cell phones, he's taking everything. And it got to the point that my kids will actually keep a backpack, packed up because they knew that we were going to get through out, you know, one day.
Wow.
So it was one particular day. He put us out, and I walked again. I walked to my brother's house with my kids, and he came over drunk, and we heard gunshots outside. So we looked outside, and my brother was like, "Well, here he comes. He's coming down the driveway. He's shooting his gun coming down the driveway." So me
Hmm.
and my kids and my brother, we went and went to my brother's room and locked the door. And mind you, my brother had a roommate who was a drug addict, so he
Mhm.
would do anything for anything. So he told him, asked him where I was. He told him where I was, and he tried to open the door. And again, he was coming down the hallway shooting. He tried to open the door,
Mm.
he couldn't get the door open, and he had told the drug addict, if you get this door open, I give you some free drugs. And he did. He went to the kitchen, I guess, got a knife, and he opened the door, and he made
Mhm.
a path right to me, put a gun right to my temple, and said, "B, you're gonna die tonight."
Oh my
And
God.
at that time, all I could hear was my two sons. They started saying the Lord's Prayer, and which made him angrier and angrier. So I started saying the Lord's Prayer with him. So eventually he left and he shot the gun. Well, before let me backtrack. Before
Mhm.
he left, he had pulled the trigger and the gun jammed.
Wow. That ain't
Yes,
nothing but God right there.
nothing but God. And so he went outside and started shooting. The gun started shooting. He left because we had called the police and he heard the police coming. So he
Mhm.
left, and again with low self-esteem, I did not press charges. He went to prison, but he went to prison for on drug charges for 15 years. And during that time, I was going back and forth, you know, visiting him. Again, still in that numb stage. Like, what am I gonna do? I have no job. I have no money. He
Mhm.
still had that control over me. So one night, one morning, I just woke up visiting day, and I went to visit him, and it was just something different. It's just something different about me. So the whole process of going in there to see a visitor, you have to sit and wait, sign in, sit and wait for a long period of time. So I eventually got to see him, and I sat down, and he grabbed the receiver, and the only thing that I said was three words to him, and that was, "I forgive you." I hung it up, I stood up, and I walked out with my head held high. I mean,
Oh wow.
it seemed like the more I walked, the more the straighter my back got, because I
Yes.
came in slumped over, like, just, I was done. I
Mhm.
was just a shell of a person. But as
Mhm.
I walked out, my back got straighter and straighter and straight. And it's like the whole world had been lifted off my shoulder, you know?
Mhm.
And that's why I say the oh, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. That's why I say, that saying that forgiveness is not for the other person, but for you.
Absolutely.
That is so true, because me forgiving him took his power away. You know what I'm
So,
saying?
did
It
you look back at all to see whether he was looking at you or what he was doing?
No, I didn't care.
You
I,
didn't care.
I did what I came to do, and
Mhm.
I didn't look back. I did not look back.
That's good though. That's good that you didn't look back.
So
And
yeah.
and then you just filed for a divorce.
Well, this guy, was dating him. This the
Oh, so
first
you
one.
wasn't even married to him.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
you
was
was
just
married to the
dating
first
him.
time.
Yeah. But
So,
see, all of this stems back from childhood issues.
okay.
If I could go back, if I got time to
Yeah,
go back,
yeah, absolutely.
because
Because I
um,
was going to ask you, where do you think that insecurity? Because you said something about this is from living with insecurities. Where did the insecurities come from?
well, actually, it came from childhood. Like, I was the youngest of seven children, and
Mhm.
growing up, I was felt like I was always pushed aside. I always felt like I wasn't pretty enough. I wasn't worthy enough. My sisters, they were pretty. They were had all the friends, all the boyfriends, or whatever, whatever.
Mhm.
But again, we lived in a poor environment. My family grew up poor, so. Do you remember people called loan sharks?
No, what state was this?
Well, this is North Carolina. Well, it's
No.
just like
Mhm.
a rich man that loans out money to.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. I'm
Yes,
thinking about neighborhood or something, but yeah, 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 yeah. I've heard of Long Shot. Mhm.
yeah. So this loan shark actually was a family friend that I considered to be my uncle. And
Mhm.
I was 16. My mom had needed some money, so excuse me, I called him up and said, asked him for to borrow some money. So she had me to go pick it up. I mean,
Mhm.
all the other times it was normal. He would just open the door, reach it out to me. I'll go home and give it to my mom. But this particular night, I went over there, knocked on the door. He opened the door and asked me to come in and said he had to go back in the back room and retrieve the money. So I was
Mhm.
like, okay, not thinking anything of this is my uncle. So I sit
Mhm.
down on the couch waiting for him to come back, and he came back in his boxers. Now,
Mm.
mind you, he was fully dressed when I opened the door. When he opened the door, but
Right.
he came back in his boxers, and he asked me. He said, What are you willing to do for this money this time?" And I
Mm.
looked at him with confusion, and he just pushed me down on the couch and proceeded to try to kiss me and do whatever. Luckily, I mean, like God is so good. But
Mhm.
luckily, someone knocked on his door, and I was able to get out, run out, get in a car, and leave. Came left with the money, gave my mom the money, but I
Mhm.
never told her what happened. She
Ooh.
went to her grave not knowing what happened. Okay, a few years, a lot has happened to me, Amora.
Oh
A
wow.
few years later, well, I was 16 then when that happened.
Mhm.
Well, a year later, I was 17. I went on this blind date, um, and we went to like a house party. And,
Mhm.
we was having a good time. And of course, back then, my parents were very strict. I had to be home by 12 o'clock. So it
Okay.
was like 11:30, something like that. I was like, okay, it's about time. I have to go. And it's like, just wait a minute. Just wait a minute. We'll go in a minute. And everyone else had left the party except for him, us, me and him and two other guys. And
Mhm.
after everyone else had left, they pulled me in the back room, and each one of them proceeded to rape me.
Oh my God.
Yes, until, I mean, the pain was so excruciating that it was like an out of body experience for me. It was like I'm looking at someone else's life. This is not happening to me, to where my body just went limp. You
So
know,
your date was in on it too?
my date, yes, him and his two friends,
Oh my.
and so he didn't take me home, so I had to walk from where we were all the way to my house. Mind you, I said my curfew is at 12, right?
Mhm.
I got home at like 5 in the morning. And my mom, being strict as she is, I'm trying to come through my bedroom window so I wouldn't wake them up.
Mhm.
She's sitting there on my bed and was like, well, you might as well come through the front door because I'm going to get you anyway. So she went, I went through the front door, and she was asking me, why are you late? Why you miss your curfew? And I was too ashamed, a bit embarrassed to just tell her. So I just took the punishment that she gave me, and
Mhm.
without even ever telling her what had happened to me.
So
And
you
again,
didn't even get the police involved or anything?
I no, none at
Oh
all.
wow.
And I carried this on with me for years until I got married, which probably was the reason why I got into my first marriage,
Mhm.
because that low self-esteem and all the stuff that I had went through, because I had started drinking heavily
Mhm.
during this time. Of course, I saw my parents, they used to drink heavily, and I saw my parents be abusive towards each other, mentally and physically. And my mom stayed, you know, until it got
Mhm.
better. Both of them eventually got into the church heavily, and the abuse stopped. But I think that's why I tried to make my marriage work, because my mom always said, she lived by the Bible. You need to, stay with your husband and do what your husband do or say
Right.
do, and I had that mindset like that. So I was gonna try to make it work, any way I could. That's why I took all of the abuse, the physical, the mental, financial, because there's financial abuse also.
Mhm.
So yeah, so that's it.
Now,
So
did you ever used to like, okay, so when the abuse started in your first marriage, did you ever hit him back? Or because you said that he asked for the divorce, like did you ever become physical with him too? I know that
uh,
he faked that charge on you, but I'm saying any other time when he put his hands on you, did you hit him back?
Actually, I did not. I did not.
Wow.
I took it. I took that abuse, and he would actually come in the house. And some people may think that there is no such thing as marital rape, but in my mind there is, because if you coming in and you're heavily intoxicated, you're so drunk that you cannot even stand up, that you're urinating on yourself and you're trying to have sex with me, and I'm telling you no, I'm feeling raped.
Right.
Even though I'm married to you, you know, I just
Yeah,
felt
no
raped.
means no. No means no.
Exactly, exactly.
So let me ask you this, Connie. So and so when you the second relationship, so the first one was 4 years, the second one was 7 years, right?
No, my marriage was 8 years, and the
Oh, 8
second
years.
one, the second was 4 years.
Okay, then 4 years. So and now you're married now.
I am married now, thank God.
So tell me how that happened.
It a few years. I mean, I took time to for myself, and women. What we have to do, we have to just date ourselves. Just take time to be alone. Don't go from one relationship to the other, because you're gonna take that baggage into that relationship. So I
Hmm.
took time. I took time for myself. I went to counseling with my pastor, and talked everything out. And I actually met my husband on a dating site.
Hmm.
Yeah, and we have been married now. It'll be 12 years in September. He is actually the associate minister at the church we attend now. So yes, we're doing
Okay.
great.
So what did you learn about yourself from those first two relationships to your now marriage? What have you learned about you?
That I had to love myself. I had to take time out to love myself and know that I am worthy of all the good that is coming to me. And,
Right.
and yes, love women, love yourself. That's the key. Love yourself.
And I want to go back to the first relationship right quick. The
Hmm.
one where he accused you of, even though he hit his head on the truck, but he
Hmm.
accused you. Did he ever apologize or anything? Did you ever discuss that with him? Like, why would you accuse me of that? Even though he dropped the charges, but like, why would you accuse me? Like, you know what I mean? Let you sit in jail for a weekend.
No, he actually didn't. He actually went back to his mistress. They're actually married to this day. And
Oh,
I think it was just control, that I can do this to you and I can take it away, you know
right.
so yeah, but he never apologized to me.
And I know you said that you forgave them. Have you forgiven yourself for not telling your mom, for not, from when you what happened at 16 and 17?
I actually wished I would have told my mom, because or any of my family. None of my family knew until recently, when I did my testimony at our church, and
Mm-hmm.
my family was there, and they was like, "What? What? When did this happen? What? Why you didn't tell us?" And but yeah, I really regret not telling it. Having that support system, because with the drug dealer, I missed a step. He actually we used to get raided a lot. The police would come and raid the house a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And what he actually had a friend on the police force, but this particular time the friend was in a hospital or something, and he could not tell us when they was gonna come and raid the house. So they
Mm-hmm.
came and with the dogs, they raided the house, and of course, me, being that ride or die chick, as they usually say, he
Mm-hmm.
handed over the drugs to me, and I put it in my bra, and they proceeded to search the house, turning over mattresses, going in the freezers, going in the cabinets, and all of that. And they couldn't find anything. And so they brought the dogs in. And I'll tell you more, I should have got an Academy Award for that acting I had to do, because when that dog came to me, I just had to start crying, like I'm having a panic attack, and the police officer's like, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" I say, "I'm scared of that dog. I'm scared. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe." So
Mm-hmm.
I told him, I said, I have to throw up. I have to throw up. So let me go to the bathroom, not going in there with me. So when I was in there, I flushed all of the stuff, down the toilet. So
Right.
they didn't find anything. So they left. And when they left, he asked me where his drugs was. And I told him, I flushed it down, down the toilet. And I was about to go to prison. And he actually got mad at me, and he called me all kind of names. B, you done made me lose all this money. You flushed my stuff down the toilet. So we had to go to his supplier, and went to
Mm.
his supplier to get some more drugs. And as he handed us, they did the transaction. He took the drug dealer aside, and they was whispering about something, and he looked back at me, and he came back to me, and he's like, do you love me? I was like, yeah, I love you. He said, well, how much you love me? I was like, I love you. He's like, that you would do anything for me? I'm like, yeah, haven't I proven that to you? So they had discussed for the exchange of drugs that the other gentleman was gonna have sex with me. So he took
What?
me in the back room, again, another back room, and I looked back at him like, are you gonna stop this? What is going on? So he proceeded to do what he wanted to do with me, and this happened every time he had to rear up. This would happen. So again, I was drinking heavily to where to cope. I actually started doing the drugs that he was selling.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, because this happened every weekend. I would, because he didn't have any license, so I had to drive him everywhere to make his sales and all that. So yeah, every time that he would rear up, he would have sex with me. So basically, he made me his prostitute.
And this is the boyfriend.
This is boyfriend, yes, the drug dealer.
So when he ended up going to prison for 15 years and you left him, basically left him there and said, I forgive you, and you left, did you
hmm
go to rehab? Like, had you become addicted or anything like that?
I no, I actually kicked the habit on my own. Because
Wow,
like I said, I
amazing.
had to go through all this, you know, therapy and all that, and
Hmm.
so soul searching on myself to start loving myself and forgiving
Right.
myself for all this stuff that I put myself through, and not only myself but my children through, because
Right.
no matter how young they are, they know what's going on.
Hmm.
Because in the end, my children actually said that they had actually lost respect for me because I always put a man before them, and it was true. Looking back on it, I did. I always put a man before them. I mean, not saying that they weren't hungry or dirty or anything like that, but
Hmm.
I would actually just put a man before them. But now they're doing great. Both of my boys are doing great,
Hmm.
and so everything's good now.
And now you are married to a pastor.
I'm married to a pastor. Love
What
him
a
to
life. Now, did you discuss with your now husband any of this stuff before I do?
No, actually, I was actually scared that he was gonna leave after all this baggage I was bringing into it,
Hmm.
because we actually sat down at the dining room table and we both discussed, our past. He had a past, I had a past. He said, this is the no judgment zone. This dining room table is the no judgment zone. You can tell me
Right.
anything, I can tell you anything. We're gonna be
Hmm.
good, you know. But I actually wasn't fully healed when I went
Hmm.
into my marriage,
Uh-huh.
because the me being abused, I became the abuser
Okay.
in this marriage, and it wasn't
I've heard
physical.
that.
It wasn't physical. It was a mental thing.
Okay.
Because with my husband is very soft spoken. I mean, he's 6'3", gentle giant, but
Winter
he's
time.
so soft spoken, and he wouldn't raise a hand to me. But and me being in the past relationships of all the abuse, I'm thinking that you're supposed to be this way too. So I started criticizing him for not being an abuser because that's what I
Wow.
was used to. I started getting mad at him because I would start an argument and he wouldn't argue with me. He said, I'm gonna leave and I'm gonna let you calm down. And then when I come back, we'll discuss it calmly. And I would, criticize him for doing that because I was not nowhere in from childhood to then,
Mm-hmm.
nowhere in between, was I used to having, you know, a good man.
Right.
A good man. I didn't know what it was to have a good man.
Wow.
So with that mental abuse, he actually um, he actually kept telling me, what I was doing wrong to him, and
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't listening. Like I said, I became the abuser, and he worked like second shift, get off work at 10.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and we live like 15 minutes from his job. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
10:30, he's not at home. 11 o'clock, because I've decided, okay, I'm gonna be this good wife. I had made a romantic dinner and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, 10:30, he wasn't home. 11 o'clock, wasn't home. 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock. I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on? I'm calling, he's not answering. Finally, he answered. He's like, I'm leaving. I've had enough.
Oh, wow.
And we were actually separated for a year, and we got back together, and that's when I told him about all of the abuse that had taken place. So yeah.
Oh, wow. So, was he a pastor when you met him?
No, he wasn't.
Okay, so he became a pastor in the relation during the relationship.
Yes. Yes.
Wow, you experienced all of
I
that.
all of that.
And now you are a first lady.
I, well, not quite a first. We don't have our own church yet. He's our associate minister
Okay, I
there.
got you.
So
Okay,
yeah. But
yeah,
yeah.
okay,
But
okay.
but
But still, but you're over, you talk to the youth, I'm sure you talk to women and stuff like that
mhm.
in the church, right?
Yeah, I actually wrote a book. I'm in the process of getting that published,
Okay.
and I actually have a ministry called Forever Grateful Ministries, where off of that I came and started a Facebook group called Domestic Violence No Longer on Mute.
Oh,
And
okay.
so yeah, that's giving people a safe place, because it's a private group. That's giving them a safe place to discuss whatever they want to discuss about the
Mhm,
abuse, or if they're the
mhm.
abuser. Either way. So yeah.
Wow, your story is just amazing. Like, you hear of people that been through so much, so much, so much, and then they turn out to be really, really well. But the
Mhm.
things that you've been through and you sound sane, not insane, but sane, like in your right mind.
It's nothing but God. It's
Now,
nothing.
did you go through therapy?
I did not.
You
My
never went through
therapy,
therapy?
my therapy, Amora, was writing that book, because as I was, typing and all this stuff was coming back to memory, that was my therapy. Because I'm sitting here, I'm typing, and I'm just crying, and I'm like, that was a healing process for me right there.
Oh my
Another
God.
lady from last night said that she wanted to write a book, but she started crying every time she
Uh-huh.
started. It's therapeutic. It really is.
So, what advice would you give someone that's going through, a toxic relationship right now?
What I would say is find your resources that you need to get out, and make sure that you get out safely, because you never know what the abuser is going to do. Like in my case, he put the gun to my head and all that. So just find a safe place, and just make up your mind. Love yourself enough to leave.
And
Value
what would
yourself enough.
and what would you say? Because I know you said your warning signals or your red flags was the day of your night of your marriage when your honeymoon was basically at your brother-in-law's birthday party, right?
Yeah.
But what are the red flags? I know he had to be some insults, some name calling, some stuff, or was it right away
It
hitting?
was he was a complete And I am being honest, he was a complete angel until we said I do.
Oh my God,
He
really?
no signs. I mean, perfect, perfect man until I said I do. And I guess he'll soon, okay, she's mine on paper, I can do whatever. And I never knew in the dating stages that he was a heavy drinker. He never let me see that.
Yeah, you did say that. So now, and he got a divorce. He divorced you, right?
Yes, yeah, it was mutual.
Now,
Well,
what?
he asked for it, but yeah,
Right. Now, what was his complaints about you? What did he say? Because you know how these men are. What did he say? Like what you wasn't giving him, what you wasn't doing for him. Like what was his complaints?
to be honest, in our marriage, I worked two jobs and he worked one. And he actually said that I was working too much and not giving him enough time.
Okay.
But
Okay.
yeah, but you're working at Walmart with your girlfriend, but she worked there too. And yeah, but I'm trying to pay all the bills. I'm buying you trucks. I'm letting you go on the buying you motorcycles. I'm letting you go to bike week. I'm funding that. You know. So yeah, but
Wow.
that was his excuses. I was not giving him enough time because I worked two jobs.
Wow. So, okay. Wow, that's interesting. So, you guys have no communication. The
No,
first and the second one, y'all have no communication
no,
whatsoever.
no. He actually tried to friend me on Facebook. The second one, no, decline. No,
I
I forgive
know,
you,
like,
but I forgive you from afar.
and the second one tried to
Yeah.
befriend you on Facebook from prison.
No, he's out of prison now. He's out.
Oh, and he tried to befriend you since he's been out.
Yes.
And all the
Decline.
urinating on you and stuff like that. You never called the police on him?
I never. I was too afraid. I was afraid of him. And plus, like I said, the financial abuse. He made me quit the little job that I did have. He made me quit it. And he was completely, you know, he paid for everything. So my children, I had to think of my children, how they was gonna survive and all that. So
Right.
yeah, I mean, and to look back on it, I mean, you think it's a lavish life because, we had I didn't have to lift a finger there at the house. He being a drug dealer, he had somebody that will come and mow the lawn. He had somebody that will be at the grill at our cookouts. He had someone that would clean the house. I mean, I didn't have to lift a finger. And
Wow.
plus, if I after the abuse, he would send me on a shopping spree to say he's sorry, or he'll go buy me another car. So
Wow.
yeah,
That is crazy.
but all
So,
money is not
okay.
good money.
You got that right. All money is definitely not good money. So now, so a female that's just, or not even a female, but a person that's just exiting a toxic relationship and thinking about going back, what would you tell them?
Mm-mm. uh, whatever you have, I would tell them whatever you had to pray yourself out of is not worth you going back to.
Mm,
And you must love yourself, know your worth, and that saying, know your worth, and then add tax to it.
add tax. You got
I
it
was
right.
add
Know
tax.
your worth and add tax.
Yes.
Somebody's asking questions. Y'all can go ahead and ask the questions for Miss Connie. But somebody said, "What was your first sign that you knew you was healed?"
Um, is when the first sign that I knew is when I walked out of that jailhouse and I was able to forgive him
And not look back, huh?
and not look back. Not, I mean, no money, no job, no nothing. I didn't look back, and I rebuilt, myself up, me and my kids, to where my kids, not only I wanted my family to be proud of me, I wanted my kids to be proud of
Be
me. That
proud of
was the
me.
most important thing because
And
I had
they're
put through a lot, a
and they're
lot.
adults now, right?
They are adults now. Yeah, the
And
one that's
how do they like your husband now?
oh, they love him. He treats them like they're his own. I mean, they love him to death. And actually, the two of them, they when they had girlfriends living with me and my husband,
Mm-hmm.
they would not. They actually would not leave when I was with the other guys until I got with my husband. And after they left, they said, "Mama, now you have your husband. Now I'm not gonna call his name, but we can leave now because we feel like we don't have to protect you anymore."
Oh, got you.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
And
they finally got to move on with their lives.
right. And somebody said, "How is your relationship with your sons now?" And I think you
Oh,
said it's good, right?
yeah, they are my world. They are my world. Yes, they are wonderful, wonderful guys. I'm so proud of them because they could easily what they grew up seeing, especially with the drug dealer, they could have easily took that easy money route. But no, my oldest son, he has two event centers. He's a club promoter and he also works full time. My youngest son, he has his own shoe cleaning business, and he also works part time. So they're doing well. They're doing well.
That's
I'm so
good.
proud of them.
And someone, Jerry says, "How did you meet your current husband? Where'd you meet him at?"
On actually on a dating site.
Oh, that's right. You did say that.
Hmm.
Now, did he come with baggage, or he was okay? It was mainly you.
It was me. It was me. Cause I like I said, he was a gentle giant. He is. He is a wonderful man, and I am so blessed to have him.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And he was patient enough to work with you through through your
Mhm.
baggage.
Mhm. Yeah.
Wow.
He did. He helped me through it. He really helped me through it because, like, giving me that no judgment zone at that dining room table allowed me to just tell what I had been holding in for years. Because my family don't know the extent of what I went through.
Right. And
Yeah.
now, do you and hubby every now and again go back to that dining room table and you have another come to Jesus meeting with each other?
All the time, all the time,
Yeah.
all the
Okay.
time. You have to have that communication. You have
Right,
to.
right, right. Wow, Connie, you are one strong woman, and I just thank God that you did not take your life that day. Or
Oh,
should I say, I thank God that your son came in or called out to you.
yes, yes, yes. Yes, and
Wow,
actually, I'm thinking about having that conversation with him to let him know what actually he did for me that day, because he don't even know to this day.
wow,
They don't know what I was, getting ready to do that day.
wow,
So yeah.
wow, wow, wow. Yes, that's just whew. So, anybody else have any other questions for Mrs. Connie? And you know what? If I can do anything to help your group, because I know you said you had a lot of domestic violence survivors in your group. If
Hmm.
there's anything that I can do, maybe you can share this group with them or however you want to do it.
I sure will. Just go
Yeah.
in there and it's called domestic violence no longer on mute. Just ask to join, and I'll let you join.
Okay.
Yes, and plus me and my husband, we're hosting in October the 14th to be exact, we're hosting a sneaker ball for domestic violence awareness. Yeah.
Well, if you don't mind, if you have like a flyer or a poster or something like that you want to
Mhm.
post, send it to me and I'll post it on my page.
Oh, great.
And that way, any of the domestic violence survivors in the group, if they want to attend, that would be great for them.
Awesome.
Because
Awesome.
it was a young lady in here that yesterday that said that she's still kind of a little shook a little bit.
Hmm. Hmm.
She's not 100% healed or something, and it may be others in here. Actually, I know it's one lady that I spoke with earlier on that told me that she's still dealing with some issues too. So yeah, send me your flyer or something like that, and
Yes. Okay, I'm working on it now. And for that lady, I know she's the depression comes with that, comes with domestic violence. And I told one young lady that I didn't even know that she was in my church, and I had to speak about domestic violence, during domestic violence month one time. And that next Sunday, she came to me and said that she was so depressed. And I asked her, I said, if you scramble up the word depressed, what words do you get? Anybody know?
Let me see. Relief.
Mm-mm.
Hold on, let me
You using the letters in depressed.
hold on, let me see. Do anybody else know? Depressed. Is it pressured? Let me see.
Mm-mm.
I'm guessing. Depressed. Hold on. I must see right quick. So if you scramble the word depressed, you get uh uh
You ready for it? You ready
yeah,
for it?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
You get I pressed on.
Pressed on.
I pressed on.
I pressed on.
Mm-hmm.
Where did
D
I come from?
from DEPRESSION.
Oh, depression.
Depression.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I'm sorry. I thought you said depressed.
Depression.
Oh, depression. I press on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, 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 okay,
Mm-hmm.
okay.
And that's
All
what
right,
you have to do.
now
You have to press on. You have to
I'm gonna put it in
forgive
the comment
yourself, love yourself, know your worth, and press on.
section. So I pressed
On.
on. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I see it. I see it. I see it. Okay. Well, Connie, thank you so much. I mean, your story is amazing, girl. You still here.
Yes, thank God, thank God. And
And
I
you know,
thank
you
you for this platform that you're allowing us to come on and talk about this because that's why I named my Facebook group No Longer on Mute because this needs to be talked about a lot more.
it
It really
does.
does. And
Yes,
I
yes,
really
yes.
truly thank you for this platform.
Well, thank you so much, Connie, for even sharing with us, and it's gonna be more ladies coming on sharing and men, because I do have
Mm-hmm.
some gentlemen coming on. And I
Great.
just hope that this helps someone, to know that even if you have the most, I mean, the worst relationships, like it seemed like you had two of them, that you
Mm-hmm.
still don't have to, shut your heart down. Your heart
No,
doesn't have to grow cold, and you can
no.
actually open up and love someone
Love
again. You
again.
know what I mean?
Yes. Loved and be loved, truly.
And be loved. Yes, just because you've been through, traumas don't mean that has to be the rest of your life.
Exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
Wow, that's
Damaged
amazing.
people can become blessed people.
Right. Yes, yes, yes. There's so many levels of abuse though.
It is.
And so many levels. And yours
I
started
think I
even
went through all of them.
yeah, yours was even as a child.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's where I think where all of mine stemmed from the low self esteem and all the trauma that I went through with the family friend and the gang rape and all of that. Yeah.
Right. Girl, you are a survivor. You hear me?
Yes. A victor.
A victor.
Victor.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing, and tell your husband thanks for sharing you with us.
Oh, I sure will. Thank you for having me again.
All right, Connie. We'll see you in the comments, okay?
All right. Bye bye.
Okay. All right. Wow, what an amazing, amazing, strong woman she is. I mean, goodness, with all of that, that is a lot to deal with, a lot to deal with right there. She overcame a lot. And now she is married to an associate pastor. Tell me that ain't God. Tell me that that's not God. Yes, I love it. Okay. So our next guest that's coming to the stage is Miss Terry. Some of y'all know her as Terry. Some of y'all know her as Miss Pretty Diva. Welcome to the panel, Miss Pretty Diva. How you doing, Terry?
Hi, Amora. Hi, everybody.
Hey, hey, hey.
Hey.
So, did you just hear that amazing story?
I did. And I had to do a baddie. I had to light a cigarette after that one.
Wow. That was so you're here to tell us about a toxic relationship that you was in that you were able to walk out of and still find love and live a beautiful life.
Absolutely, absolutely. And mine was more of a narcissistic relationship, and it kind of mirrors something that we're all familiar with. I was young. I was very young. Some of you know, I talk about my husband all the time. Been with my husband. We've been married almost 31 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, we've been together since I was 12 and he was 14. And I wasn't allowed a boyfriend until I was 16. So he used to come and sit on my steps. So we would break up and get back together, break up and get back together. And it was during one of our breakups that I met my oldest daughter's father, my 33-year-old father.
Uh-huh.
We had been apart for probably about, my husband and I had been apart for probably for about 6 months. And just a little background to the story, I had a group of friends, males and females, and we had said from eighth grade that we were all going to the prom together. We had all said, we're all, one couple of boys and girls, we're all going to the prom together because we were that close of friends.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as we had gotten older, some of them had gotten girlfriends and some of the girls had gotten boyfriends. And we still had this pact that we were all still going to the prom together. What a
Mm-hmm.
guy I was supposed to go to the prom with, his girlfriend wasn't having it. So when we got to 12th grade year, I didn't have a prom date. So
Mm-hmm.
the guy had met this older guy that did some contracting, and he said, "You know what? He's kind of cool. He would be nice for us to go to the prom with. Why don't you meet him and see, if you like him, and then he'll go to the prom with you." I said, "Okay, fine." I met him. Seemed like a really nice guy. He was almost 20. I was almost 17, and we started hanging out with him. Turns out he wasn't bad looking.
Mm-hmm.
He was really nice, said all the right things, let him meet my parents. My parents was like, "Oh, he's so mannerable. He's such a gentleman. We don't mind you going out with him by yourself."
Mm-hmm.
Started going out with him by myself. He said all the right things. He had a job, had a vehicle, seemed like he had everything going for him.
Mm-hmm.
6 months later, guess what? Terry's 17 and pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Find out I'm pregnant, his whole attitude changed.
Mm-hmm.
That's when the mental stuff started. He's not showing up anymore. He's disappearing. The smart, slick comments started. It was like a mental thing, like mental head game started. So
Mm-hmm.
that's when my red flag started. Oh, he's nothing like he presented himself to be. His representative dropped.
Right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when I'm like, okay, pregnancy hormones kick in. Okay, I can't stand this dude. Like I don't want to go to a prom with him. I don't want to be around him. Prom comes up. I end up going to the prom with my cousin. He comes to my house with a corsage, telling my parents, "Oh, I already rented my tux. She's going to do this to me. Why is she doing this to me?" And I'm like, I don't even want to see him. I wouldn't even come out of my room. I don't want to see him. I don't want to deal with him. I go to my prom 3 months pregnant with my cousin.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the, Fast forward, I have my daughter, emergency C-section. He shows up at the hospital. My parents are like, "You got to let him see the baby, whatever." Let
Mm-hmm.
him come in after I have my daughter to see my daughter. He's saying all the right things again, big giant balloons, giant teddy bears, comes in with an engagement ring. "Can we start again? I want to marry you. You just had my daughter, blah, blah, blah."
Mm-hmm.
And I'm softening up again. 2 days later, because I had a C-section, back then they made you stay in the hospital for a week. He comes in every day on his lunch break or whatever. He takes the baby and I'm just going to walk around the unit with the baby just to spend some time with her.
Mm-hmm.
The nurse comes in the room and she says, "You have to tell that gentleman that he can't take the baby off of the nursing unit." And I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "He's taking the baby out into the waiting room." I get out of my bed. I'm like struggling to walk because I had a C-section. I
Right.
stumble myself into the waiting room. He has the baby out in the waiting room, and some woman is holding my daughter,
Oh my god. A newborn baby.
a newborn baby, and he
Hmm.
has the baby out in the waiting area with his woman.
It,
Okay.
Oh, wow.
So I'm livid. The nurse takes the baby, brings the baby back to the nursery because, of course, they have to check her out and everything again. I stumbled
Mhm.
my way back into my room. Now, granted, my roommate was my sister's friend. She had had her baby natural. So she's laying on the bed with her legs up in the air, reading a magazine. She's so bored or whatever. And I'm screaming, Michelle, Michelle, Michelle. And she's like, what's up? And I was like, he got to go. So she jumps up in fighter stance, ready to knock his block off because he's running behind me. And she's calling for security because she's ready to knock his block off. But anyway, it didn't end good. My dad ends up coming in. My dad's getting ready to knock his block off. Well, he wasn't welcome back into the hospital.
Mhm.
So, red flag number two, stay away from me, but I can't keep you away from your kid. Okay. You can
Mhm.
come and see the baby when my parents are home. I don't want to see you, whatever. He talks to my parents again. My parents are like, you know what? He wants to try to make it up to you. That was a mistake. No, that was a big mistake. But I'm listening to my parents again. Let them come help you while we're at work. Get up and down the steps with the baby and all your stuff or whatever.
Mhm.
Okay. Let him start doing that. He's saying all the right things again. Let him start coming over to the house again and start softening up again.
Mhm.
Here we go again. All of a sudden, whenever I need something for my daughter, my parents are saying, he's pulling way past the house when he comes now to bring the diapers. And then he's bringing all these cute little frilly outfits and things for the baby. And, these are things that a man wouldn't know to pick up. My mom starts pulling my ear. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. These little ruffly socks. And why is he parking way down the street and whatever?
Mhm.
One day, I had a key to his house. He asked me for the key to his house. And I said, why do you need the key to your house? Oh, some roofers are coming to look at my roof and whatever.
Mhm.
My mom happened to be off one day and she said, where did you say he is today? And I said, he told me he's in Latrobe. Now, Latrobe is a real far suburb from where we live. And
Mhm.
she said, no, he's not. He just rode past me in a little blue sports car and the license plate said LaShawn. I said, oh, okay. I put the baby, I hobble up the stairs. My dad's home from work that day. I put the baby in the bed with my dad, got my sister. We get down to his house. His car is parked out in front of his house. I bust out every headlight in his truck, bust out every window in his house, got into the house. I pulled out every condiment in the refrigerator, squirted them on the floor. Now, this is my youngness, okay? This is when I was younger, guys.
How old were
Pull-
you, Terry?
I was 18.
Oh my
Pulled,
goodness.
pulled every egg out the refrigerator. My baby, I think she was 3 months old then. Every egg out of the refrigerator, smashed it on the floor, just everything. I think at this time he had come in and my sister was like, you're not going to touch my sister. You're not going to touch my sister because he squared up like he was going to get me.
Uh-huh.
He grabbed the pole off of his weight bench. He had a weight bench in his kitchen, took the pole and threw it through his kitchen window, just like enraged. He calls my father. My father drives down, and my father was able to get me to keep me from destroying anything else.
Mhm.
That you would have thought that was red flag number three. Now, granted, my husband was still in my life through this whole thing, supporting me, even though he didn't want, anything, any static or anything. He didn't want to cause any commotion. He was still supporting me this whole time. My husband actually took me for my pregnancy test with my daughter, and he was so hurt and disappointed that I was pregnant.
Mhm.
But he um he stayed to the background and he let me do what I thought that I needed to do.
Mhm.
I went into such a depression after that incident that I stopped taking care of myself. I
Mhm.
did. I started going over to my aunt's house because my aunt was like a second mother to me. Do you know that this fool came over to my aunt's house with a loaded gun? His brother was a police officer here. He
Mhm.
had his brother's service weapon. He had gotten into it with some guys over some money that he beat them out of. He was a contractor and he was supposed to do a job and he didn't do the job. He just kept the money.
Mhm.
These guys were threatening him. He comes over to my aunt's house with a loaded gun and telling me what he was going to do to these guys. Amora, I had the bullets in my hand. And I said to him, don't do this. Take your brother's gun, put it back. I'm going to keep the bullets, but go put the gun back and do the right thing. He promised me he was going to do that. And he said, but if I take the gun back without the bullets, he's going to know I had it. I gave him the bullets back because he promised he would take it back. Do you know he went and he shot one of those guys?
Like shot him dead?
Shot him, but he didn't kill him. He shot him in the chest and the guy lived. But fast forward, I'm in court, I'm testifying, and I did not tell the truth on the stand. I did not. Because I had those bullets in my hand. I was trying to save him, but he ended up serving 4 years for it anyway. But
Oh wow.
this is where it gets good, because had he not gone to jail, I think I would have stayed in that cycle of whatever he did, it was everybody else's fault. It's like, you cheated on me, but it's your fault. It's not his fault, it's my fault. Because
Mhm.
you didn't do X, Y, and Z. And it was because of his upbringing. It His mother, everybody called his mother Mother White. Like, even he called his mother Mother White.
Mhm.
Not Mom, Mother White. She was a Pentecostal minister, but she had him by a married man. And this kind of swayed me from religion for a little while, because I'm like, how are you preaching to me being 18 years old and having a child out of wedlock, and you had him by a married man? Like, and how are you telling me you beat him when he was younger till his hands were bloody because he pulled your pots from under the sink? And you think you're going to keep my child ever? No, no, never.
Mhm.
And I know I'm getting off track a little bit, but when he went to prison for shooting the guy,
Mhm.
she sued me under grandparent right laws in Pennsylvania. Yes, they have that here.
Who sued you?
His mother, because this is the thing, I never talked bad to my daughter about him. And I was taking my daughter up to visit him in prison until he started insulting me.
Mhm.
I've been with my daughter, I've been with my husband straight since my daughter was 7 months old, because my husband pulled me out of my depression.
Mhm.
My husband said to me, you're not taking care of yourself. You're dressing in sweats. You don't do your hair. This is not you. This is not the you that I remember. You're in
Mhm.
a depression. Pick yourself up, Terry. This is right before Chris enlisted in the Navy.
Wow.
And he pulled me out of my slump. He showed me what love was unconditionally. Even though I knew he loved me since I was 12 years old, it was like, you know what? I got this baby. I got pregnant. He took me for my pregnancy test. Even through my pregnancy, he would call and say, do you want something to eat? And I'd be like, no, I'm okay, because I was scared of, you know, what this person I was pregnant by was going to say or feel or whatever. It was just a mess, but he stuck with me and he pulled me out of that slump. But when I would take my daughter up to see her father in prison, it
Mhm.
would be, you're this hoe, or did your man buy her these shoes, or did your man this, or did your man that? And then one day I was there and I said, you better cherish this last visit, because this is the last time I'm coming up there. Last time. Last
Mhm.
time.
And you meant that too, huh?
And I meant that, and I stuck with it because, like, what's her name? Colleen said, I knew,
Connie.
Connie, I knew my worth that day.
Mhm.
I knew it. And you will not call me another hoe. You will not call me another whore, because my husband is the only man that my daughter has ever seen me with, ever.
Mhm.
The only man. And my daughter calls my husband daddy, and she calls her father by his first name.
So your daughter's father, when he got out of prison, out of the 4 years, he did want a relationship with the daughter.
He's never taken care of her, but you know what he did? The first day he got out of prison, he showed up at my mother's house with flowers for me.
Oh, he thought you guys were gonna get back together.
Yes, and my mother told him, "What is wrong with you? You cannot bring flowers to another man's wife." He's a narcissist. He thinks everything is about him and everything that
Mhm.
happens to him is somebody else's fault. It's
Mm,
my parents, when he first got arrested, my parents put their house up to bond him out of jail.
mm,
And he bonded to my parents' house. But when everything hit the fan, he acted like he didn't even know my parents. Like they had never done anything for him. He hurt my parents
wow.
to their soul.
Yeah. They could have lost their home messing with this
Exactly.
man.
Exactly.
Wow.
And to this day, he talks so bad about my mother and my father. It's sickening. He has never paid one dime of child support for my daughter.
Mm,
And now he has a granddaughter that eh, I won't even go into that, but it's sickening. My daughter is 33 years old now. And what I fear is, I won't even say what I fear, but just to know that narcissistic personality and to know what could have happened to me,
mhm,
the mental manipulation that they wrap around your mind. It's like you do start questioning yourself, like, did that really happen? Did I really make him treat me that way? Did I really make him cheat on me? Did I really make him talk to me like that? Like, I was young. I was young and I allowed myself to be mistreated and manipulated and mentally and verbally abused. And like I said, his mother, she sued me under grandparent right laws. And
mhm,
I actually got, because my parents got me an attorney, she was ordered supervised visits. And I had to go once a month downtown and take my daughter to a building for her to have supervised visits once a month for 3 hours. And we had a really bad snowstorm one time. And I called the courts and I said I was running late because we couldn't get through the snow.
mhm.
And she left because I was late. But what saved me is that we had a sign in and I signed in and it showed that I was there. So she brought me back under contempt of court and she tried to get her supervised visits taken away so that she could take my daughter up to the jail. But my lawyer said no. She showed up. She was there, and they have a record from the courts that she called in and reported she would be late, and she did show up. So she started screaming in the courts, "Well, if I can't get what I want, then I don't want nothing." And I screamed out, "Well, sign the papers then." And my lawyer said, "Let me talk for you. Let me talk for you." So he said, if she don't want nothing, then sign it away. So that's how I got out of the supervised visits and her wanting any visits. And I didn't hear from her anymore after that.
She signed over her rights as a grandmother?
Yes, she did.
I would have never.
Yes, she did.
Mm.
Because she could not get what she wanted. Her and her son were one and the same. God rest her soul. I don't hold any, I forgive her, because she was doing her son's bidding. She was
Yeah,
doing his
but
bidding.
even if it was supervised, the fact that I would be able to see my grandkids, I still would have done it. Like, thank God I don't have supervision. But let's go back to I gotta ask you this. When how old was he? What was the age difference between you two?
He was 20 and I was 17 when we met. So 3 years.
So sorry, that's my son. So he had the audacity to bring another woman to the hospital where you were having a baby, and she, the woman, the girlfriend or whatever, was out in the waiting room, and he brought the baby to see her in the waiting room.
Absolutely. She was holding my baby when I walked through the waiting room doors. Yes. Yes. She, she was holding my baby. And had I not had a C-section, I think we would have been in a funky roll.
Wow, that is
Yes.
crazy.
Yes, absolutely.
That is
And
beautiful.
that wasn't even the one he was pulling down the street from my mom's house that he had in the car then. And that wasn't even LaShawn that he was in a little blue sports car with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, you got out of that, and so now between that relationship, when you was like finally done, I'm done with him. I know you said your husband now that you're married to was still by your side, but when was it when you said, you know what, I wash my hands free and clear of this guy, and I'm gonna focus on my husband only? At what point was that?
Oh, my daughter was 7 months old, and we got married when my daughter was 2.5 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. But she was 7 months old. And like I said, he was like, if we're going to do this, we're going to do this. And I said, let's do this, babe. It's me and you. And he
Mm-hmm.
went to boot camp shortly after that. And it was
Mm-hmm.
just me and him. That's it.
That's good. That's good. That's good. And so, have you forgiven him? Like really forgiven him?
I had forgiven him for years because my daughter was good. I went back to school like shortly after me and my husband got married. I went back to school. I got my degree in nursing, and I didn't need anything from him. My daughter was good. She was taken care of. I had no reason to hold a grudge on him. And
Mhm.
up until recently, because he decided he wanted to try to connect with my daughter and
Mhm.
see if they could build a bond. But he just recently did my daughter dirty again. So,
Yeah, but well, and I know how you feel like when your daughter hurt, you hurt and stuff like that. But you don't think that you should just like let them, those two, handle whether they're gonna have a relationship with each other or not?
your audio went out, Amora.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Hmm.
Okay. So by your daughter being 33, you don't think that you should just let her decide whether she want to have a relationship with him or not?
Well, she's made the decision. She said he's dead to her because he's not only hurt my daughter, but my granddaughter is involved now. She's 6.
Okay.
And
Okay.
we I don't play about my kids. I got my kids to the grave. And you hurt mine, you
That's
hurt
it.
me, you know. And another thing that's telling about him is I have a relationship with his brother, his nephews, but he doesn't. They don't deal with him.
Yeah.
But I can call them on the phone at any time, and I actually do. And I'm Facebook friends with all his family as well, but they don't deal with him. He's cut off from them. So
Hmm.
that tells you how bad of a person he is.
Right. Okay. So let me ask you this. I heard you say, that should have been red flag number one. That should have been red flag number two. That should be red flag number three. What would you tell someone right now if they going through that and they seeing these red flags? They're seeing these red flags. What should they do?
Go with your gut instinct. When you feel it, I'm not saying I'm an empath or anything, but usually what you feel, your first instinct is always right. If something does not feel right, it is not right. Run, run fast. And
And
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
I was
No, I
going
was
to,
gonna say, was your decision to stay, was it because you had the baby? Because had you not got pregnant by him, you probably would have left, the first sign, right?
well, no, it wasn't until after I found out I was pregnant that he dropped his representative. Everything
Oh,
up
got
until
you,
I
got
found
you.
out I was pregnant was almost too good to be true. It
Okay.
was the perfect gentleman, opening closing doors, out to eat. Every
Hmm.
every word out of his mouth was just like, man, this is so nice. Like I was floating, I was on cloud nine. And then
Okay.
it was like, and then I'm going to tell you this. He actually admitted he got me pregnant on purpose.
Oh, wow. He wanted to be with you, girl, some type of way.
Yes. And that's scary. That's like obsessive, to the point. And now he's on his fifth wife,
Oh, he's on his fifth wife.
number 5.
Wow.
Me and
Oh,
me
yeah.
and Me and wife number three, we have a great relationship. She and I talk all the time, and she's so glad that she got out too. We compare notes of behaviors, like, she saw the light. Wife number one, she was kind of weird. She didn't like that he had a child, and she thought that he would never reconnect with my daughter. And one Christmas, he called my daughter, and that was it for her. Number
Mhm.
two, she wanted to have a child, but I guess she couldn't have a child, and that ended it for them. But wife number three had children, and she wanted, she was the best he had, and she actually saw through the narcissism and behaviors, and she got out of there quick. But what me and wife number three, we still talk. So, and she has a relationship with my daughter too. So, um, but wife number four, sadly, she passed away from pancreatic cancer.
Oh, okay.
But wife number five, she's a doozy. She is a doozy. She started sleeping with him before wife number four passed away. And she knew wife number four was dying. How could you sleep with a dying woman's husband?
I've heard of it before. Actually, I got something. I heard of it before. Let me just say it like that.
And then got pregnant before wife number four died and lost the baby. And she thinks her character is good. No, I don't think so. I don't think so. No. But it's just they're weirdos. They're just weirdos, and I'm just like, stay far far away from me. And I'm glad my daughter did make her own decision, and my daughter will tell you I've never talked bad about this man her whole life. I let her make her own decision about him, and
Hmm.
now that she's finally come to me and told me how she feels, I'm like, okay, I'm glad you made your decision. Never liked him.
Then you say, I never liked him anyway.
Nope, 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 not at all.
Well, and
But
it sounds like you're doing well because 31 years in marriage, you don't make it to 31 years and, without some hard work and, some love and a whole bunch of special other stuff going on. Y'all
Well,
done
you
probably
figure,
been through the ups and rounds and still together, huh?
yes, and being a military spouse,
That's
that's
not
not
easy.
easy. The
Exactly.
military puts you through the
That's a
ringer
lot of
too.
sacrifice right there.
Yes, yes. But you go through your ups and your downs, and marriages work, regardless of if you have a good marriage or if you have a struggling marriage. It's work. You put work into it. Any kind of relationship, you put work into it if you keep it. Chris is over here being silly, Amore. He is being silly, but he knows everything that I've been through with that relationship. And he told me from the beginning, like, that dude is,
Well, let me ask the audience, do anybody have a question for Miss Terry? She's been married for 31 years, y'all, almost 31 years. She got some secrets. She know what the glue is to keep it together.
I do.
Do anybody have any questions for Miss Terry?
Oh
Terry,
my
you know
gosh.
what? Oh,
Sam is in here. You know what Chris want. I told you, Sam, that's birthdays and holidays.
oh Lord. This is PG-13 up in here.
Oh, thank you, Sam. I've been trying to help. I'll do what I can. Anybody that wants to message me or call me or whatever, we can talk it out. God tries to lead me.
Somebody said, how old are you, Terry?
I just turned 52 on July 2nd. I got married when I was 21,
Girl, you've been married all your life, child. All your life.
all my life.
Here's one for you.
Absolutely, Miss Foxy Lady. It is possible to find love again after surviving a narcissistic relationship. And I say that because you know what signs to look for. You know what red flags you're looking for. You know how to set boundaries, and you know what your worth is. But you have to do the work to find out who you are, not who the other person is. Find out who you are. Who is Miss Foxy Lady 22? Once you know who you are and what your worth is, there's nothing that nobody can tell you otherwise. And I tell all women, ask yourself who you are. Who
Mm.
are you?
So somebody, Miss Angel asks, how did you learn how to make the marriage work?
A lot of communication. And I said earlier, my husband and I, we went to a marital retreat called Retrovi. Think we were married 17 years at the time. And it's a Catholic organization, but they accept any denomination. And it's a weekend long. You go up on a Friday and they put you up. They have the lodging, all the food and everything. And they teach you the art of communication with each other because a lot of times in a marriage, um, you talk a lot at each other and not to each other. And you talk a lot to hear yourself talk, but you're not really hearing what the other person is trying to make you understand. So
Mm-hmm.
what they teach you is when the other person is talking, like you go to a session and all you do is you listen to the other person talk. And what you do is you clarify what the other person said to you. You can't say how you feel. You clarify. Like if my husband was to say, Terry, when you said X, Y, and Z, that made me feel such and such. And what you say is, so what you're saying is when I said that meal you cooked made my stomach hurt, you're saying blah, blah, blah. You don't say, well, I cooked for you and you don't appreciate it and you this and you that. No, you clarify what that person is saying to you to let that person know you're understanding the depth or the intensity to what they're saying, how they feel. So
Mm-hmm.
that teaches you how to communicate with your partner and let them know that you hear them and you're really understanding how they're feeling because we tend to go back at somebody tit for tat when we're communicating. That's not always conducive to a healthy, happy relationship. Don't go tit for tat
Mm.
because you if you wait for when somebody comes to you to tell you how they feel about something to all of a sudden throw in there how you feel, that's going to end up in an argument.
Yep,
So
yep.
you have to communicate and communicate effectively.
Somebody said, were you scared to give? Were you scared to give your next husband your all? And I guess
No,
she
I
means
wasn't.
like way because sometimes it takes time.
You know,
But
it
you've been knowing him since you was what, 14 or so?
I was 12 and he was 14.
Oh,
So
you was 12, okay.
I knew him, so I wasn't really afraid because I did know him. So that's a hard question for me to ask because we were familiar already.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, thanks again, Sam. She said, I'm really good with the relationship stuff. 40, been with my husband 27 years, and I was ready to give up, and Terry's been helping me. Thank you, Sam.
Yeah, don't throw away 27 years unless I say this is my thing. And I don't know, Terry, you tell me if I'm right. You've been married 31 years. I wouldn't throw away the investment unless it crosses there's things in there that crosses the boundaries that you set. You know what I mean? Like I do think that you should set boundaries. You should say, you know what? This is off the table. This is off the table. We're not doing this. We're not doing this. And then if they violate one of those things that you set in place, then I think that, maybe that's not good. But as long as they haven't violated any of those boundaries, would you say to throw away a 27-year commitment?
No, I wouldn't. And the reason being is that a lot of things can be fixed with just some reaching out and venting and some communication because sometimes people have been where you are and you just need to have a little bit of advice. A lot of people are scared to reach out and say they're having trouble in their relationship because they're scared of judgment. And a lot of us don't judge you because we've been there or we've had these experiences that we can kind of tell you what we've done to get through it. And you can either take the advice or not. But sometimes just hearing somebody else has gone through it and what they've done to get through it, or hear where you can go to get help to get through it, is enough to just fix it or tweak it or, you know, just help you through it and just to offer a help. And then we have husbands or willing to step up and say, yeah, this is what happened and this is how we got through it, or just help talk you through it. Because you
Hmm.
know what? If you've done 27 years, there's love there.
Right.
There's
It's
love
something.
there and work that you put in.
Hmm. Yes, yes, yes.
Oh,
Yes,
one
yes.
more question. Were you afraid to give your husband all of your heart?
Yeah, I
You know,
think you answered that one.
yeah, I wasn't afraid to give him. Well, you know what? Let me say, I grew up with a strong father. So I did feel that my dad was the only man that would love me fully and completely. And I joke about it now. I say my dad was the only man who ever really loved me. And so going into it, my dad had peeped me to some game in the beginning. So I side-eyed any man from the beginning. But my husband more than showed me that I could give him my heart. So yeah.
Hmm. Okay. Well, thank you, Miss Terry. We do appreciate you for sharing your story with us.
Thank
I'm
you.
sure
Oh,
there's
thank
other
you,
women.
Angel. Thank you. And God bless you and your family.
Oh,
And if
yeah.
you want to reach out to me, you can through Amora or through my messenger. I'm Terry Gelhauser on Facebook.
Hmm.
GELZ.
Yep. She says she appreciates you.
Oh, thank you're welcome, Sam. You are. I think you all are in our lives for a reason. God doesn't make any mistakes. And I say that all the time. God doesn't make any mistakes.
Hmm.
We all touch for a reason.
Yeah. That's nice, Samira. All right. Well, thank you so much again, Miss Terry, for sharing your story, and we will chat in the comments.
Thank you for your platform, Amora. This is definitely needed. And I thank you for
Yes.
letting me vent.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And thanks for contributing. You know what I mean? For coming on and sometimes giving us some knowledge and stuff like that. We got a little bit early today and that was amazing.
Yes, I'm sorry it wasn't as explosive as the first story.
No, 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 no. It's okay. Everybody's story is going to be different. You know what I mean? Everybody's story is going to be absolutely different. And I'm doing this because I want people to understand that there is different level of toxicity in a relationship. Some can be name calling, some can be controlling, some can be physical, some can be downright violent, like Miss Connie's was.
Yes, yes. Mine was mental and pretty emotional and mental, you
Yes.
know. But I was the one that was explosive. I was the one tearing stuff up and breaking stuff and that kind of stuff. It was like my breakthrough. Like, I had this last shout. So, all right, guys, I'm gonna
Well,
drop
thank you.
down.
Thank you
Love
so
you all.
much.
Hey, Milan. She didn't realize it was me. Hey, Milan. All right, I'll drop down.
Okay, Miss Terry. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay. Wow, what amazing stories we had today. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. We just got through episode 4. Next Tuesday will be episode 5. I still have 2 more people coming on next Tuesday. Again, if you want to share your story, please let me know. Don't be afraid. Just reach out to me, inbox me, and just say, Amora, I want to share my story. I think I'm ready to share my story. We all want to hear it. And believe it or not, we all have a story. Okay. If you've had an ex boyfriend, you've been married, it didn't work out, whatever the case may be, please come share. We want to know. And another reason why I'm doing this is also because, you know, of course, mine was a long time ago, but when I got out of my relationship a long time ago, if I had a platform like this where I could have came and listened to people, that would have helped me a lot. But when you're going through this, you think that you're the only one in the world that's going through something like this. And you need to know that you're not the only one. It's people that's been going through it before you, and it's going to be people that go through it after you. Okay. And sometimes just listening to other people share how they made it through. What was their breaking point? What was the last thing that happened that made you say, you know what, enough is enough. Okay? Enough is enough. I'm not going to sit in here and take any more abuse. So when you leave and you don't have nowhere else to turn and you're thinking about going back, you may need somebody to tell you no, it's not worth it. Don't go back. You know what I mean? You're setting yourself up again. But listen to these stories and see if you can get something from them. I'm married and I've already got stuff, learned things through these other stories that people have been sharing. Like, wow, it actually makes you appreciate your spouse a little bit more if you are in a good relationship. You know what I mean? So it's definitely going to help all of us. So definitely, if you want to share your story, please don't hold back. Just reach out to me. Share your story. And also, when I come online, if you don't mind, if you share your link, if you have like a woman's group or something like that, even if it's a male group too, but share this link and let other people hear these conversations. I was about to say, it is for married. Is it for married only? LOL. Because unfortunately, I'm never married. I've been asked 1,000 times. So, no, it is definitely not for married only. Absolutely not. I have a friend that said she's going to come on and tell her story. She's not married, but she's been in a relationship for 15 years, just like me, and they are not married. And she want to tell her story about him, and they still together, but she wants to tell her story. So she's going to come on and tell her story. And they've been engaged, engagement off, engaged on, engagement off, but never married. Yes, yes, definitely. So I'm going to send you a calendar, and that way I'm going to send you a link to my calendar and just pick a day. Just pick a day. You don't have to cam up or anything like that. And just come up here, relax, sit back, and just share your story with us. Get it off your chest. And Foxy, if you want to share one too, get it off your chest, girl. Get it off your chest. It helps you heal. It will help you heal. But thank y'all so much for another great episode. This concludes episode number 4. She said, where's the share button? So if you look, where are you? Are you on, I think you're on Facebook. So right up under it, you will see share right up under the Facebook page. Do you see it? It's in the right up under the comments. Or no, right up under the video or the live. Or maybe once I get off of here, you'll be able to see the share button. Thank you so much, Connie. Thank you so much. And I would definitely be reaching out and looking into your group, okay? And don't forget to send me a flyer. That way I can share it. So if somebody's been in a domestic violence, relationship and they want that extra support, that extra encouragement, I'm going to share your flyer. I'm scared and I will have the whole panel crying, but I will one day. Yes, Foxy. Well, you let us know so we can bring up our tissue, okay? You just let us know. We'll bring a whole box of Kleenex. But I'm sure, Foxy, I'm sure whatever you have to say, I'm sure there's somebody out here that's went through what you've been through or worse. Trust me. Sometimes we think we're the only ones that have been through stuff, and we start listening to other people and we're like, whoa, whoa. So I'm sure it may be a bizarre story, but I'm sure somebody else out there that has been in your shoes, if not worse. So when you're ready, you let me know. You just give us in advance notice so we can all bring the tissue. But you got it, girl. She said I would have the whole panel crying. But one day. Well, thank y'all so much. She says, before you leave, I need to share a more. I don't see it. Hold on, let me look right quick. Because I'm on StreamYard, but let me go to Facebook. One second. So when you look right up under the live, it says like, comment, and share. I'm looking right at it. And if y'all don't mind, please hit that like button, whether you on thumbs up on YouTube and the like on Facebook. If you don't see it, I'll send it to you in Messenger, and Angel. But hit the like button, please. Thank y'all so much. And this concludes episode number 4. Be ready for next Tuesday. I have a treat for y'all. Talk to y'all later. Love y'all. Bye.